Hello Year 6 and welcome to your first biology session in your Year 6 to 7 Science Bridging Unit. So the first thing I'd like you to do is look at the pictures on your slide and think about which one of these pictures is the odd one out, which one doesn't fit the pattern, or which one is an anomaly, which is a term we use in science in Key Stage 3 and 4. But most importantly, I want you to think about why. Why is the one that you've chosen odd? Why isn't it the same as the rest of them? So well done if you identified the car as being the odd one out or the anomaly. And the reason the car is different to all the rest of them is because the car is non-living and all the other things are living things or organisms. So when we use the term an organism, we're just referring to a living thing. So today's session is about living things. It's about organisms. And what we're looking at today is for you to be able to state the 7 life processes. So what 7 things do all living things do? We're going to be able to describe the organisation of living things, label an animal cell, and for some of you, label a plant cell too. So just as we've said that all these things on here are living things, we can group them as either plants or animals. So as you can see there's lots of animals. And when we're talking about animals, we include humans in there as well. So when we're talking about an animal cell, we even mean the cells in your body as well as the cells in any other animal like a dog or a cat. So we're talking about the cells in your body. And then plant cells, we're talking about any cells in a plant or a tree. So what I'd like you to do now is think about what are the 7 characteristics. So let's see how well you did. Did you get all 7? So Mrs. Gren helps us remember these. So first of all living things can move. Now even plants can move. If you've ever noticed that if you place a plant on the windowsill, the plant will grow towards the light, which is why sometimes you find that you've got to keep turning the plant around to try and make it grow straight. All living things respire. Now respiration is a chemical reaction that takes place in every single cell, which allows us to release energy from the food that we've eaten or the glucose that we have made if we're a plant. All living things are sensitive to the changes in their environment. So just like if we get too hot, we might start to sweat. If we get too cold, we might start to shiver. We respond to the changes in our surroundings. Plants also are sensitive to their surroundings. So it doesn't matter which way you plant a bulb, the roots will always grow down towards gravity and the shoots will always grow up away from gravity. All living things also grow and all living things also reproduce to produce offspring. All living things excrete, so excretion, which just means getting rid of waste products. So things like carbon dioxide, which is made through respiration, and urine, wee, or feces, which is just another word for poo. And finally, nutrition. All living things need nutrients. So either we get them as animals through eating plants and animals, or if you're a plant, you get them through a process called photosynthesis. So well done if you got some of those right. Other things that all living things, all organisms have in common are the fact that they are all made out of tiny building blocks known as cells. Now, as you might have gathered through our learning outcomes today, that plants and animals have slightly different cells, which we're going to look at later today. But all living things, all organisms are made up of these tiny building blocks known as cells. Now, in organisms with lots of cells, like animals and plants, these cells can be grouped together. So if we take a group of cells, we can produce tissues. We take a group of tissues, we can produce organs. And if we take a group of organs, we can produce an organ system. And all the organ systems working together make up an organism, which is a living thing. So let's just go back to cells. Remember that cells are the building blocks of life. Every single living thing is made up of cells. Now, if we take a group of similar cells, they make something called a tissue. And you can see there that we have taken lots of different red Lego bricks and they're representing a tissue. They're all very similar, so they're representing a tissue. Now, if we take a group of different tissues and they're all working together, they will make an organ. So on here, we've got a picture of a heart. So an organ of the body is the heart, and the organ will be made up of different tissues. That's represented by the different coloured Lego pieces. So tissues that can make up the heart could be the muscular system, which allows your heart to contract to pump that blood around the body, and nervous tissue, okay, which controls the contraction of that heart. There's also organs in plants, so things like the stem and the roots. They are all organs. Now, if you take a group of organs working together, they will make an organ system. So in humans, we have got the digestive system, which we're going to be looking at in our next session. You've got the reproductive system, you've got the cardiovascular system, so like the heart and the breathing systems. Okay, and then if we take all of those all those different organ systems, they make an organism. So a multicellular organism, so a living thing that's made up of lots of different cells, is usually made up of several organ systems. So what I'd like you to have a go at now is in your books under the title Cell Organisation. Right, so let's see if we're right. So have we said that a group of similar cells come together to make a tissue? And a group of different tissues work together to make an organ. A group of organs work together to make an organ system, and a multicellular organism is usually made up of several organ systems. And we are going to look at one of these organ systems next time when we look at digestion. So we're now going to look at animal cells, and some of you will all. So you'll have noticed that in that video there are lots of new key words. Okay, so let's just go through them again so you're familiar with them, because this is a topic you will be studying in Year 7. So we have got nucleus, which controls the cell and contains all the genetic information of that cell. You've got cell membrane, which goes around the cell and controls what can go in and out of it. You've then got a cytoplasm, which is where all the chemical reactions take place. This is like a jelly-like substance within the cell membrane. Those three structures are all found in both plant and animal cells, but in a plant cell, there are three more structures you need to know about. You have got the cell wall, which is around the outside of the cell and it strengthens the cell. You have got the chloroplasts, which is very important because where the photosynthesis takes place, which is how plants make their own food. And you've also got a vacuole. So let's go through these plant and animal cells and see if you're right. Now, some of you might have noticed that in this diagram, there are more structures than we're actually labelling. Don't worry about that for now. You will learn about these as you come into Key Stage 3 and obviously through to Key Stage 4. You'll also find, if you do some research on cells, that there are a lot of structures that we haven't talked about that you don't need to know about at Key Stage 3 and 4, and you will learn about them if you choose to take biology at A level. So the first one we've got here is nucleus. Now the nucleus controls the cell, and contains all the instructions that make you you, a very important subcellular structure. You've then got the cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like substance which is found within the cell. Okay, and all the other structures float within it. And then surrounding the cell, you have got the cell membrane, which controls what can go into and out of the cell. On that diagram as well, you have got the little sausage-like figures that look a bit like slugs, and they are mitochondria, so it's where respiration takes place. And then you've also got the little dots, which I think personally look a little bit like rabbit poo, and they are the ribosomes, which is where protein synthesis takes place, which is where your cell makes all the proteins it needs. But for now, I'd like you to make sure you can label the nucleus, the cell membrane, and the cytoplasm. So well done if you were able to label those three structures in an animal cell. Now, in a plant cell, there are a few more structures you need to know about. So again, we've still got the nucleus controlling the cell and containing all the genetic information. We've still got the cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like substance where a lot of chemical reactions take place. And we have got the cell membrane. Now, it's important, this is a key error that students often make, that the cell membrane is the inside line. Okay, it's not the outside. It's if you were coming towards a cell, you'd go through the cell wall first and then you would come to the cell membrane. So it's the inner line. We've then got the cell wall, which is labelled in green because only plant cells have the cell wall. And it's what strengthens the cell. You have got the chloroplasts, which is where photosynthesis takes place. So it's where the plant makes their own food. And they've also got the vacuole. So well done again if you were able to label all 6 structures in the plant cell. Excellent work, Year 6. Now I've got a little challenge for you. See if you can produce a model of a cell. So you can do this in lots of different ways. We've had students using slime or hair gel and sticking things into a Tupperware box to make the cell. We've had students make cakes. We've had students do it with arts and crafts. And there you can see a diagram, a structure of a cell as a pizza. See if you can produce a model of a cell and then take a photo of it, and then when you start your secondary school, show that to your teacher because you will get extra credits for the work you've done. Okay? So final thing we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of multiple choice. So as we normally do, 4 scrap pizza paper, A on one, B on the other, C on the third, and D. I'm going to say a question and I'd like you to hold up which answer you think is correct. So the first one, what does a plant cell have that an animal cell does not out of A nucleus, B, a chloroplast, C, cell membrane, and D, cytoplasm? Well done if you're holding up B for a chloroplast. Question 2. Which of these is not a process of living things? A, movement, B, reproduction, C, talking, or D, respiration? Excellent work if you said C, talking. Question 3. Which part of the cell contains the genetic information? Is it A, cytoplasm, B, vacuole, C, cell wall, or D, nucleus? Well done if you held up D for nucleus. And final question, what is an organ? What is an organ? Is it A, a group of cells? Is it B, a mammal? Is it C, a group of tissues working together? Or is it D, a group of organs? Well done if you said it's C, a group of tissues. So well done, Year 6, in completing your first biology lesson. I hope you've enjoyed it. So now you can state the 7 life processes. You can describe the organisation of living things. You can label an animal cell, and some of you can label a plant cell too. Excellent work, and I'm looking forward to seeing any photographs of models of plants or animal cells that you make. Bye bye.